All right, what's our story?
Okay, I have quite the doozy for you. We have a quick video from Ron Rana 1, which we are going to play now.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on? This is Ron here. I'm calling about the rent.
Yeah, well, like I told you in the text message, man, like I just can't pay it right now.
Yeah, I know, man. The thing is, you just moved in, you signed a lease, and haven't paid for the first 2 months.
Well, I can't afford to pay it right now, like with all the holidays and stuff coming up, I gotta save money.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to pay for at least a month or...
Okay, listen, man, look, like I told this to your property manager as well, okay? Like I'm not gonna run away or anything, right? Like, but I can't get you the money right now, but okay, but I promise you that I will.
I get the promises, man, but I'm gonna need a portion of the payment soon. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to evict you.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Well, can you pay the rent? You're already 2 months behind.
Like I said, I don't have the money, right? But I got this buddy who's a lawyer, and he told me not to worry about it, right? Like you're trying to evict me right now. Like it would cost more time and money to evict me out than just waiting for the payment to come.
Are you sure that's what you want?
Yeah, I mean, like I know you're not gonna bother doing anything, right? But you can try.
Okay, so let's get the elephant out of the room first and foremost. This is a scripted bit.
It is a scripted bit.
Yes. Yeah. And scripts are fun. We are quite partial to a script here and there.
Every word we say is scripted. The
we
interruptions.
just have a teleprompter
All of
rolling
it.
all times.
Yeah.
No, but the reason I think it's still valid to talk about this is because it gets at the heart of this idea that there are tenants out there who they know how much of a hassle evictions are, and they are going to use the system against you to stay in your rental for free.
Yes.
What is your initial reaction to that?
Yeah. Well, it's the biggest fear of landlords, right? Is that they're going to not only get a bad tenant in their rental, but one who is savvy enough and understands the system that they will make life hell for the property owner. I think it's why we see so much interest in squatters' rights. That is definitely a case where you as the landlord, you look at the way these squatters' rights are written and your first instinct is, why? Why does this exist? And then your second instinct is someone going to get me? Is someone going to take my property out from under me using squatters' rights? And I think that this is kind of similar, right? It's preying on that fear of like, they know the system. The system is flawed. It is not written in a great way. Where there may be some loopholes, and maybe this person, even though yes, it's scripted, but maybe this person understands those loopholes and will take advantage.
Beautifully said. Well scripted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We worked hard on that section. I hope you liked it.
No, but I think you really nailed it. It's that idea of this fear-driven, these people are out to get me.
Yeah.
And I would really caution you out there to just realize that is generally not the case. Of course, there are going to be bad actors who are tenants. There are also bad actors who are landlords.
That's something I wanted to note, is that this fear exists on the other side too.
Yes.
Of tenants thinking their landlord's always going to take advantage of them. And so that's an issue that we're constantly navigating. You can see it in all the content we have here on our YouTube channel, that there's a just natural distrust between landlords and tenants, and it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way. And when we look at the data, it isn't that way on an individual basis most of the time, right? We run surveys almost every other month here at TurboTenant, and we always ask, how are you feeling about your renter, or how are you feeling about your landlord? And by and large, it's really positive sentiments. Again, on an individual basis, but when you start thinking in mass, that's when it can start to get scary. And of course, bad news always floats to the top. We hear about squatters and evictions and slumlords and all of these things, and that creates even more friction in these two different groups who really just need to work together to the benefit of them both.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, when it comes to evictions, the best way to go about them is to try to avoid them, which means starting with really good tenant screening. Jonathan, where could people get really good tenant screening?
Gee, I don't know. Off the top of my head, TurboTenant?
Wow. Beautifully done. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You want to take a look and really understand who your leads are so that you can make the best choice and select the person with the least risk who meets your tenant screening criteria. Most states allow you to pull eviction histories. If you are screening with TurboTenant, you can get that as well. And evictions stay on someone's record for 7 years. So if you are in a state or county that allows for eviction histories to be pulled, really make sure that you are checking that out and taking it into consideration. Now, if someone has one eviction on their record from 6 years ago, have a conversation with them about it. If they have like 5 evictions on their record and they span multiple years, that should be a really big red flag. and you might want to consider other people who better align with your screening criteria. Anything that you would add there?
Yeah, you can go beyond the screening report as long as you are treating every applicant the same way. So you can do landlord reference checks. So literally, hey, applicant, give me the contact info of your last landlord or your last 2 landlords or whatever. And then call them up, email them, ask just some general questions of, how was this person? Did they treat the property well? Did they pay on time? Asking obviously the things that matter, not like, did they smell bad? Like that's not part of the screening process, right? But in this case, and we're just going to assume this is a real video, even though we know it's scripted, right? But if this were a real video and this landlord had done landlord reference checks on this tenant, those previous landlords might have been like, yeah, he was real cagey. He'd pay like maybe 3 months at a time and then would kind of be weird about the rent. And he kept talking about how his buddy was a lawyer and threatening stuff. Like, those are all red flags. Those are things that you could put in your screening criteria and say, yeah, maybe not this guy. Maybe move on to the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say too, if you have a rental somewhere where you're not allowed to pull eviction histories, there are still other telltale signs in addition to calling previous landlords, like generally how do they treat debt? Debt is an all-consuming machine and we are each a cog in it, but you can really take a look and see like how many lines of credit are open. How long ago were they opened? Are they making payments on things? And try and assess on a case-by-case basis so that you, again, find someone who is low risk, who's going to move into your property and take care of it. That's really the ultimate goal. And you're unlikely to find these loophole hunters, but just be aware that they're out there and make sure that you're doing your due diligence.
Yeah. This is also where Income Insights comes in handy, where you can look at an applicant's self-reported income, and then does that match up with their actual income? Looking at their employment, obviously, are they gainfully employed? In this video, the tenant says the holidays are coming up, so I can't pay rent because I got to pay for presents. First of all, budget better, but if you had screened properly and you looked at they are gainfully employed, they make enough money to afford my rental, then you would hopefully avoid this situation altogether.
Absolutely.
And that's that.
And that's that on that.
You can put your that and that.
Put your that and that and that it up.